All right, okay. Yes, my people. Welcome on the FMF Meet, where we meet actors, singers, influencers of the kingdom. And today we are having a guest, a special guest in the house. Yeah, I'm going to let him introduce himself. He's going to give us like some background stories about him, how come he came to be a musician for the kingdom, making music for the kingdom. What are his musically influences, and how we can identify his persona? Because I went on a gram. I was looking at your profile. I was like, okay, so is it a model or it's an artist? So yeah, who do we have in the house today? Who do you have in the house?
Yeah. Well, I go by the name of Prince Samiri, the roles of the industry, Congolese Papi, saved to serve, and I serve by grace. Um, that's my tagline. That's what I live by, and that's essentially who I am. I'm a gospel artist. I'm primarily gospel hip hop, and also do gospel Afro beats. And
Okay.
modeling, that's a new one. I may look into that. Actually, prophetic for that one. But I'm somebody who loves nice things. I'm somebody who believes in excellence in everything I do. And
Mhm.
even when I came into doing music for the Lord, I carried that type of way of doing things. I started doing music like I was like 14, 15.
Okay.
I've been doing, yeah, I've been doing music ever since then. But however, I wasn't doing gospel rap. So you know how it is. You rapping at school.
Mm,
You got your friends in the classroom doing ciphers and all of that. And
mm.
I was just rapping with different guys, getting my reps up. My first rap name actually was crazy name. So my first rap name was Sizzle HD.
Okay,
And
Caesar HD. All right, brother.
yeah. Yeah, that was my first rap name, Sizzle HD. I had a tagline. I was like, "I'll make you sizzle like bacon." So that was corny, man. But oh man, that was crazy. It was corny, but that's what I was doing back then. And then I changed my rap name again to C Prime, and then from there, like different iterations until I got to Prince Amiri. And Prince Amiri is basically the culmination of all my years of understanding what I do in music, who I am, and who the Lord has called me to. So essentially, Amiri stands for Prince in Arabic. It also stands for Prince in Hebrew. So
Okay,
basically, it's Prince Prince. you
Prince,
know.
Prince. Okay,
Yeah.
it's the
So
confirmation.
it's the confirmation. So that's where I go by the name of Prince Amiri, and yeah, I've been doing music since then. There was a time, this was in South Africa, I was doing music there, and then I did like a whole bunch of things performing with different artists. And around like 2018 or 2019, I had like an opportunity to get a deal with Sony, and that was amazing, really amazing, and like I was so hyped to it. But things just started turning around. Mind you, at that time I was doing secular music, and
Okay,
mind you, I'm a pastor's son. So
PK. All
I'm PK.
right,
I'm
all
a PK.
right. Okay.
PK grew up in the church, but like you have that thing where it's like you want to be different. You know how pastors' kids are like, nah, man, don't
Yeah,
tell me about
you
that.
want to be rebellious.
Yeah, rebellious in it. So it's that type of thing but I've always been a different kid. I was the guy that gets stars on the back of my hair. I was the type to dye my hair purple. Like I've always been different because before doing music, I was a dancer. You know,
Oh, okay.
yeah, I was cramping, flowing, all these type of things. I had a whole dance crew and stuff. So I've always been someone in the arts. So growing up, my family already knew that, okay, yeah, we're going to teach him the word, but yeah, this boy, he
This
different.
boy's
So
he's got different aspirations.
yeah, I got different aspirations, but deep down inside, I always had a love for the Lord. When it came to
Mm,
my time of prayer, I was in prayer. When it came to my time of consecration, I was always consecrated. But I believe there's an aspect of my life I didn't give back to the Lord, which was the gift He gave me. you know,
Okay.
and that's where I felt like the enemy was pulling me because I was seeing success, but I wasn't seeing success for what the Lord gave me because I was using
Mm.
it for everything but to praise Him, you know. Fast forward, I get this deal with Sony, everything's amazing, I'm about to sign, and then something happens where it's like my family wants to relocate to Portugal. So I'm like,
Okay.
yo, come on, man. I can't be doing this right now. You know, I'm like, I'm trying to do this music thing. And it's like, okay, we all gotta go, you know, and we all move for personal reasons. But I felt like, okay, how can I leave at my point where I'm about to become the hottest? I was
Yeah.
already getting traction. I did a couple of features with notable artists. I was buzzing, you know. So fast forward, I left, came to Portugal. I was so sour. Didn't know why, don't know what to do, where to start. I don't even speak Portuguese, you know.
Mm.
So as I get here, COVID hits then. So I'm just like,
Ooh, that time.
this is a mess. I'm here, COVID. We got masks on. I'm trying to
Yeah.
record music on my laptop to see maybe I can pop from outside of South Africa and
South
still hit
Africa,
the
yeah.
market, you know, social
Mm.
media. Something wasn't clicking. Little did I know, all of that was a way the Lord wanted to pull me back. Because the Lord knew that if He allowed me to taste the fame of the world, to pull me out of it was going to be a problem.
Mm.
It was
Okay.
going to be so, so hard. And from there, I went to a time where I didn't know what to do. And I wanted to do gospel music then. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this gospel album. I recorded a whole gospel album. But the difference was I wasn't a gospel artist. But more than ever, I wasn't one who consecrated and gave my music back to Him. You know,
Mm.
I was doing it more as a situational thing because I was
Yeah.
like, I like God and I want to do something different. Let me do this. Not
Yeah.
knowing that the Lord wanted my heart first. And in my heart, that's
Yeah.
what talent was.
That's it.
You know,
That's it.
so I've always had that thing where like, Lord, I want to praise you. Lord, I want to be here and do this for you, but not my music though. I can preach, but not my music. That's
No more music.
yeah, so it was that type of thing. And as the years went by, I remember this was around 2023. It's like something dawned on me that was so heavy. I went into a time of prayer. I don't know what was going on specifically in my life at the time. Um, the Lord just wanted, like, I just felt drawn to prayer. And I was
Mm.
just like, Lord, I'm just going to pray. Started praying, and the Lord told me, hey, I want you to go into a fast. So I'm like,
Mm.
Lord, I'm trying to eat, fam. It's, we have plans here, man. We're in
Man,
Portugal.
man, man, man is trying to have food out here, you know?
Like, disturbing the peace, man.
That's it. That's it.
So it is that type of thing. Like we're in Portugal, the prices of food is cheap. Let's have a ball. It's summer. So, but I was like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna go into this fast. Mind you, I didn't know what I was praying for. So
Mm.
cool. I went into this fast. I was praying, and the Lord just kept on giving me a word, but I didn't know what it was. I'm like, when you sense the Lord wants to give you a word, but you're not catching it, and then by the I think mid fast, because I ended up fasting for like 7 days, and like around the third or fourth day, the Lord said, "I want you." But I'm like, "You have me. I'm here. What do you mean?" But it's like, "I want you." And when He was saying that, I grew to understand that when He said He wanted me, He wanted the thing that I held towards me.
Yeah, yeah,
You see,
yeah, yeah.
and it reminds me of the story of Abraham when Abraham had Isaac, and though
Mm-hmm.
Isaac was the gift and the blessing from the Lord said, "Bring him as a sacrifice,"
As
but
a
that wasn't for
sacrifice, yeah.
him. It wasn't for him to kill Isaac, but it was to see the posture of his heart because God
Mm.
wanted the very thing that brought the blessing because He didn't want anything between him and Abraham. You see, and He
Mm-hmm.
wanted to see the posture of Abraham's heart. So when Abraham laid him on the altar, only then God gave the provision of a ram that came out. And
That's
that's what
it.
the Lord was trying to do with me. He wanted the thing that I held so dear, which was my music,
So
which was my
yeah,
art. And I was just
yeah.
like, Lord, I don't know where to start. I'm in Portugal. I don't know anybody. Like, where do we go from here? I don't even know if the music scene in Portugal is even alive. But
Mm.
the Lord was like, I want you. And I remember after wrestling, it's not like I gave my life, my music to the Lord right then and there, like the perfect story. Nah, I wrestled. I was like, nah, not gonna do this. You know, it's funny at that time I started getting opportunities for just normal rap. So it's like the enemy knew that okay, he's about to make a turn,
mm,
but let me, just come and take him and give him what he wants.
mm.
But there's still this conviction that it's not enough. And it's crazy because I came from a home where I knew God. I prayed. But that part, that area of my life was something I was guarding so much.
God, in so much, yeah.
And eventually I yielded. And when I yielded, that's when the Lord said, I'm going to do it. So I was like, Lord, I don't know where to start. Don't know how to do it. I tried gospel before. It's not really
Mm,
my vibe. It's not
mm,
entertaining. I want to hear some Drake. I want to hear some Pac. But the Lord said, I'll provide. Fast
mm,
forward, I met a friend, met him like in the weirdest way. Took an Uber. He happened to be the guy in the Uber. We started talking. We became friends. Months later, he comes back to Portugal because he was in Switzerland. He just randomly flies back and said, I want to
mm,
be here in Portugal for a bit. As we are chilling, we talking, I'm telling him, I want to do this gospel thing. The Lord is really calling me to share my gift and my talent with him, for him. From there, he's like, no, there's a producer that I know. He finds me the producer. He takes me there with him. He even paid for half of my studio sessions. Like, he even got me a videographer, paid for half of my video. Like, just a friend, like a dude, like, yeah, he's my boy, but like, he doesn't have any interest in this. He doesn't want anything from it. And the Lord said, provision comes through, man. I touched his heart and I changed his heart just to show you that I'm working with you. So cool. We started doing music there. I released my first song called Testify in 2024 on my birthday,
mm,
February 16th. That was my debut gospel single. And Testify was essentially speaking about a guy who was into drugs and he robbed someone. So, based on a true story, he robbed someone, and the person that he robbed was also like a guy from his hood. But this guy was actually trying to do something with his life. He was trying to make something of his life, and he was coming back from like an internship, and he got robbed. So the guy who robbed him saw him like 4, 6 months later after robbing him and tried to avoid him because like, oh snap, I robbed this dude. He's gonna call
mm,
the cops on me. Easy. But the guy stopped him and said, dude, no man, I'm not mad at you. I actually want to have a conversation with you. And the guy showed him love. And through showing him love, they built a relationship, which led to him giving his life to Christ. You see?
mm.
So that was depicting the guy's whole life story. And I released that, and man, it was just, God just took me from there. Like, I can't even say that I know and how the formula, I don't know anything. But the moment I gave this to him, that was the last thing he needed for him to say, now you're qualified for me to actually use you. Because if I used you in everything that you were, yes, you prayed, yes, you had a heart for me, but you didn't have a heart for me enough to give me this, you see.
Mm,
And God can only use what he has tested. You can only trust what he has tested. And that was the biggest test for
mm,
me. And the moment I gave my music to the Lord, everything changed. It's like a domino effect of just kingdom understanding, a crazy faith, because essentially my whole career as a gospel artist was built on sightless faith. Like, I didn't see anything going forward. I could only see the very steps I was taking, but the Lord was
mm,
leading me. Because if I knew the trajectory, most probably I'll be confident in myself. Because it's not about talent, it's not about positioning, it's not about networking. This is just God. And
mm,
that's the posture that I have when I do my music, because I know that I'm not doing it for the applause of man. I'm doing this to bless someone who would
mm,
hear it, but ultimately to use everything the Lord has given me as a praise and as worship back to Him.
mm,
And through that led us to where we are today. So
mm.
many things have happened, and the Lord has just done so many remarkable things. Like, I can't even begin to explain where and how things got to this point. All I know is Jesus.
Amen to that. Amen to that. So from the first release of, I mean, your debut, what was the what happened next? I mean, did you actually get to do an EP or an album? What I mean, where did the Holy Spirit lead you into it,
Yeah.
that
So,
you actually get lead to a ministry? Um,
mm,
but actually, I mean, I checked a little bit your Instagram. Is
mm.
there any ministry that's been developed out of the?
Oh yeah. Essentially, through the music for my first release, I dropped a couple singles, but then late last year, I think this was mid last year, the Lord started pressing my heart to say, "I want you to worship me differently. I want you to do the very thing you're running from." Because as a pastor's son, as much as I love God and stuff, I was running from accountability in serving Him. And
Mm,
I knew that, yeah, let me do this at the back, behind the scenes, but I never wanted to have accountability. And
mm,
that's when the Lord pressed on me. He's like, "I want you to serve me differently. I want you to worship me differently." And that's when the Lord led me to start a worship revival movement here in Portugal called the Upper Room Culture. And
okay.
essentially, the Upper Room Culture, as a worship revival movement, we our foundation is worship, but we have two wing pillars, which is evangelism and prayer. And this was for people who, number one, are seeking to know Jesus. Number
Mm,
two, people who know Jesus but want to have a space where they can express it and just flow in the Spirit. And number three, for people who just have questions. They may not typically be interested in God, but they just love music, they love art. This is
mm,
the ground where they could be able to meet Jesus without the confines of a church.
yeah,
And essentially, once they join our community, we can stand with them to a point where they're ready to join a church and we can refer them to a church.
yeah.
And through then, we had our first worship night in Portugal last year. Man, it was crazy. Like, mind you, this is Portugal. We don't speak the language. Um, we're doing gospel rap essentially because this platform was for different types of gospel, be it gospel hip hop, R&B, gospel house, gospel amapiano, anything it is,
Mm,
And we just did this worship night, and the Lord touched so many people's hearts to just come and assist us, and it was just amazing. The power of God flowed. We had an altar call. People actually gave their lives to Christ. It was just mind blowing. And then since then, we just started growing and growing. We even started something called the Power Circle, which is an intercession that we do every hour, like one for 1 hour on Thursdays on Zoom around like 7 p.m. And even that has just been growing, and people are like just seeing the power of God. Others are texting saying, "Hey man, this thing is just it's just changing my life. I'm looking forward to Thursdays." And the Lord is just doing so much, but it was birthed through that obedience and that yielding that happened many years ago in a silent room where I didn't even know what the Lord was preparing. And ever since then, like serving God here has just been so different. Because as a black man, we the minority, you know.
indeed,
But yeah, but like serving the Lord removed all color. It removed all
indeed.
stigma. It removed all
True,
demographics. It
true.
just opened us to say, "My spirit goes before you, and as you
Mm,
speak. As you walk, I walk. As you see,
mm,
I see." And just that availability of saying, "Lord, I'm a tool in your hands," has allowed Him to take us so far. And through that, that's how we found ourselves here. And when I look at it, it's like I have my personal, or I say my professional career as Prince Amiri, the gospel artist. And there's this beautiful movement ministry called the Upper Room Culture that the Lord is just growing so exponentially. And it's like, how did you do this, Lord? From just that one moment that I said yes,
one moment,
just
yeah.
birthed two things. And I don't even know where we're going, but all I know is that we're going where He's leading.
Fantastic, fantastic. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So, me, I want to know.
Hmm.
I want to know your influences. I mean, what
Uh,
makes you so special? Because I can, like, talking with you, I can tell there's something special. There's something special in the way the trajectory that you're taking, the way you're developing yourself. So, what can you give me actually three persona that has an impact on the person that you are today?
So, okay, I'll go on a personal level. The first persona that has, or I'll say experiences that created a persona.
Mm.
Um, Growing up, I grew up with my mother,
Okay.
and when I grew up, because I moved to live with my father like 11, 13 years old, like just before I was a teenager, around those years. Growing up with my mother, I used to go by the name of David because David is my middle name.
Okay.
And growing up
The
as
chosen.
yeah, the children, you know. So growing up as David, I learned life from a different angle. I
Yeah.
learned life from the angle of you had to, in a sense, prove yourself. You had to be the one in the shadows. You had to kind of develop in the dark, you know, and it showed me, it gave me a level of vulnerability and intimacy with God in a different way. So much so that, like, one of the sides that I lean into a lot is vulnerability. I speak a lot about things that have happened to me. I reminisce and I really draw inspiration from experiences where I was alone, where I had to, like, act on what was inside and
Mm.
remind myself who I was, you see. And that's basically something that I've always had in my music, where no matter how cool or how flashy, whatever it was, there was still that level of vulnerability where I wanted to be so true to myself, true to what I'm saying, true to the people who are listening,
Mm.
that it was a bit uncomfortable for certain people because it's like we all have this thing where we need to look like a shiny object. I just believe that your story is your testimony and
It
your
is
vulnerability is you voicing it.
indeed.
And that's one of the, I would say, personas that I drew from, which came from me growing up and being addressed as David, you know. And then as I went into high school, when I moved to my father, um, I used to go by Prince because, like, you know, the school, like, they read out names and then the teacher just says, okay, your name is Prince now. We're
Yeah.
going to call you from your first name and then you're going to run with it. And having that was like an identity change, per se. Whereas I had to know how to be called by a different name but be the same person. But
Mm.
people addressed me differently because I'm in a new school. I'm doing sports now. I'm kind of like not the guy in the shadows anymore.
Mm.
I'm more of the cool kid. Now I'm rapping. Now I'm doing all these things. Now you're just this, like, this dude that's like so, like, larger than life. People want to be chilling with you, but that's like,
Yeah, you're getting
you know,
popular.
getting popular, you know, like I'm into to sport and all these things. That's a far stretch from David, because David
Mm.
was the guy behind the shadows who had mad talent, who had so much to give, but had these limiting beliefs, but was so
Mm.
vulnerable about it that he just wrote it down and just kept it. Now you have Prince, who is the polar opposite. He still has all these things, but, like, he's accepted by everybody. He's a cool guy, like, you know,
Mm.
all these things. And it just showed that, on the other side, showed me how to relate to people now,
Mm.
because I was around so many people that I kind of had to know who I'm dealing with. Like, oh, this guy's a cool guy, but I don't really know, you know. But when I was David, I never had that. I was more into isolation.
Mm.
So being Prince, it was more of, I get it now. I know what it is to be, quote unquote, popular, to be in that limelight, to be
Mm.
liked, to be cool. And I would
Mm.
see guys who resembled David, but this time, instead of ridiculing them, I'll pull them closer,
Okay.
because deep down inside, I knew that me and them are not different. We're the same
Yeah.
people, you see. And that's where I learned the importance of identity, you
Mm.
see, because the identity and the name that you give to yourself shapes a lot. Hence why
Indeed.
God went from he changed Abraham's name from Abram to
Abraham
Abraham,
to Abraham. Yeah.
you see, because the identity, Jacob to Israel, you know.
Yeah.
And when I like fully embraced Prince, I embraced the persona of, you got this. You're not
Mm.
just a guy who's gonna try it out. You really got this. It gave me the confidence to say that I am that good, and I'm gonna
Mm.
continue growing because I know I have what it takes. So that's another persona I come from, where I channel the persona of one person who knows what they have and what they can offer, and
Mm.
who knows how to relate to people. You see,
Okay.
so those are the first two, and
Yeah.
the third one is mostly the persona of one who has just seen the goodness of God. When I look at all two of them, all of them just show me God was good, and
Mm.
and rap from that persona. It's a persona of like, man, I can't do this without him. Yeah, I have vulnerability. Yeah, like I know how it is to channel my feelings. I'm a testify. And then here, over here, I know how to deal with people. I know what I can offer in terms of the skill. I'm a good artist, all that. But I realize that's not my strength.
Mm.
That's the third place I channel from. That's the place I channel from the most, because
Yeah.
that's the source of everything I do. I know that, Lord, if it's not you, I got nothing, man. I
That's
got
it.
completely nothing. And that kind of like makes this whole little pie that you see of Prince Amiri, because essentially David is my name, but Prince was the position that I believe the Lord gave me to for me
Okay.
to understand who I am. That you're the royal priesthood, and stand in your understanding that you are not a beggar, you're a child of the Most High. It's those different things, and just made me who I was, and that's what I channel in my music. So sometimes in my music, you would hear a lot of like street influences,
Mm.
because like when I was David, I saw a lot of those things. I was always watching in isolation, but I saw a lot. And then
Mm.
you'd see like with Prince, I saw a whole bunch of like trap influence, life of the circle, all these things. And then as David, and as the third persona of just a worshiper, and as someone who knows that it's only God, I just praise, and I just give it all to him. So those
That's
are the
it.
three facets of my artistry. So when you listen to my music, you hear a lot of street reference. And this side, you hear a lot of like choir, worship, praise. But then there's a certain reference that's just really like I'm rapping, like I'm really
Okay.
rapping. I'm doing this.
Okay. Okay. That's dope. That's dope.